Hello, Space Cadets. Welcome back to Moon Farm. This here's your captain speaking. Oh, welcome back to another episode of the Farm Chores podcast. This is now the third time I've tried to record this episode. The first time I got through the whole thing, and then I realized that at some point the audio recorder cut off, and I didn't notice, so that meant that I lost the entire thing. Well, at least almost all of it. The second time, when I just went to record it a minute ago, Murphy decided that today was going to be one of those days where we go backwards in our training. And he decided to chase some birds, and he caught a couple of them. Didn't hurt any because I got to him and, told him no, but he grabbed them, pinned them down. I guess, it's one of those days for him. Hopefully he straightens himself back out, though. Fresh bag of chicken feed for the chickens today. Just open this up, hold on. And dump this in the tote. There we go. Oh, updates on the farm. If you don't live in Northeast Ohio, you may not know that we got a crap ton of snow. The farm got, 12 to 14 inches. Varies, obviously, around the farm a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell, but seems to be about 12 to 14 inches. And that buried everything. Thankfully, it looks like all of the structures held up. The feed shed that I'm in right now, I was a little worried about it because it's basically like tarp type material over a metal frame. And I was worried that it would probably come down, but it did not. It did hold up to the snow. It was sagging real bad. So luckily though, got that all fixed up, ready to go, got all the snow off of it. Nothing else was really that bad. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised to see that all of my tractors basically worked flawlessly. The one that I have my Muscovy ducks in, it did not hold any snow on top. And then the quail tractor, that did have some snow on top, but that's because the top of it is flat. But it's also not a very big area. So for the most part, it shed all of its snow. The greenhouse, it did an okay job shedding snow. The biggest issue is just that there's so much snow that it kind of slid off onto the sides and then collected down the side of it. And so the snow literally has nowhere to go off the roof because the snow pile on the side is all the way up. Absolutely wild. Oh, if you want to see some more behind the scenes stuff, make sure you check out YouTube. That's where I'm doing long form stuff. The video comes out every Wednesday at 3 p.m. And then if you want to see some more short form stuff, you can check out my TikTok or my Instagram. TikTok is more casual style stuff. Instagram is really, the very best from a marketing perspective. So whichever one kind of suits your fancy, go check it out. All of the links for that are in the top right corner of my website, moonfarm.us. And again, thanks for supporting this podcast, and thanks for listening. If you like it, leave a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening, to let them know that it's a good podcast and you like it. Oh, our show topic today is dealing with adversity, or to put it a less esoteric way, dealing with conflict. And the perspective I'm taking is heavily influenced by my collegiate studies. My degree is in political science, but my I focused in kind of like a marketing side. So today we're going to talk about public relations, especially as it relates to a small farm like mine, and especially as it might relate to you and your small business. To tell this story, I'm going to tell it in its entirety. As you know, if you follow me, I've got a guardian dog named Murphy. He's about a year old, and he is still in training. He's been doing really good recently. Kind of had an iffy day today, yesterday, but generally he's doing really good. Part of his training, oh, listen to you, you're so cute. Part of his training involves being on a tether near his animals for the purpose of getting exposed to those animals, right? Murphy needs to learn all the little things that they do until they're no longer interesting to Murphy, until he doesn't feel the need to chase after them or anything like that. So obviously I can't just leave him free with the birds. He'd probably hurt them if I wasn't here. The one time he got off when I wasn't here, I think he did kill one. So it's tough to say. I don't know for sure if he did. But the point is, the tether training is really, really important because it allows him to continue his desensitization, geez, whew, but allows the birds, or other animals for that matter, the opportunity to retreat and be safe. I'm not just making this up too, right? I'm working with a trainer, and this is our training regimen. And then whenever I'm here and able to supervise, I let Murphy off of his tether and I put him on a long line and he gets to run around. If he behaves himself, he'll be off for 4, 6, 7, 8 hours at a time. Now on some days, he kind of goes back and forth like today. He obviously didn't behave himself and so he went back to his tether. On other days, he'll be off all day long. Just depends on how he's feeling and what kind of attitude he's got. Murphy's house sits at the front of my property. It's probably 50 to 60 feet back from the road. And to describe it to you, it's a simple, a box with a sloped roof. Like a simple goat shelter or for a dog shelter. It's pretty big. The footprint is 4 by 8. Murphy, you still got food left over. You didn't eat all your food. I must be starving you, huh? Yeah, there you go. Eat your food and relax for a bit. So it's a pretty good sized shelter. It's probably 4 by 8, maybe a little bit bigger. It is solid walled, stuffed full of straw, nice and warm. Murphy's tether is a 25-foot chain. I tried to use a cable, but Murphy likes to roll and roll and roll and roll, and eventually the cable broke. So we use a chain now, keep everybody safe. So the other day, I am driving to the farm. I've got a little bit of a drive to get out here, and I notice that something tripped my camera. So I'm probably 20 minutes away from the farm. I get the camera notification. Hi, ladies. I'm here to bring you some food and also take your eggs, okay? So I look at the cameras and I see a woman walking up the driveway, and then she goes behind the greenhouse and goes out of sight of the camera. So I open up the other camera. I see that there is, hi, duck. I see that there is a car parked at the end of my driveway. It has a logo of some kind on it. I don't know what it said. Now I know, but at the time I didn't. And so I get on the camera as she's walking past it again, and I say, hello, can I help you? And she ignores that. And so I call out again, excuse me, is there something I can do for you? No response. She goes back to her car. She kind of sits in it for a few minutes with the door open. Mind you, I'm calling out every little bit, hey, can I help you? She's just ignoring it. I should also mention she walked right past my no trespassing signs in order to go back behind the greenhouse. So that's cool. So she doesn't respond. Eventually, she gets back out of her car with a piece of paper, walks past the camera again, and then goes back to her car and leaves. And I watch her on the camera leave. About 10 minutes later, I get there and see that she's left a note on the door of a camper that I have in storage here. I guess she thought maybe I lived there or something. I'm not entirely sure what that's about, but she left a note, and it says, you know, this is Humane Officer Holly. I need you to give me a call to set up a meeting, and has her phone number. So I'm thinking, great. Somebody called the APL thinking that my dog was tied up and sad and wasn't cared for. Yeah, great. That's what I needed to deal with this week. Mind you, my dog is not in poor health. He's got food, water, shelter. He is healthy, happy. Once he completes his training, he won't even be on a tether anymore. So, you know, seriously, he's good. But, so I give her a call back. Leave her a voicemail. Hi, Holly. This is Alex from Moon Farm. I got your note. Here's my phone number. Mind you, every lawyer I've ever talked to tells me it does not help you to consent to searches or answer questions without a lawyer. So keep that in mind. I'd make a similar recommendation if you're a small farm and someone decides to call animal control or whatever on you. Seriously, I recommend you just don't answer questions. A lot of times it becomes well, he said this, and then you say, well, no, that's not it, or you don't answer, and then literally that's the end of conversation. Because a lot of time it is just he said, she said, this person said, that person said. Gosh dang it, I keep knocking my hat off. Where'd it go? Where'd my hat go? Excuse me, guys, is my hat in there? Oh, there it is. Who is making that sound? And so a lot of times with things like this, like, they have this report and they can't really do anything with it unless you agree, like, okay, yeah, come on in. If you invite them in, then, you know, you could be doing everything right and still get cited just because, like, you know, oh, you were too tired last night so you didn't clean out the coop like you were supposed to. That you do it every week, but the one day that they came, you didn't get it done, and now it looks like your chickens are living in a bunch of poop. Right? It's those kind of things that, obviously, having a dog kennel that's stuffed full of poop is not normal. But having chickens poop is totally normal. And if they happen to show up at the wrong time, it looks like you haven't cared for them, even though you do. Every week you clean that coop out. So that's my recommendation. Anyway, I gave her a call just so she knows who to contact. My preference would be that she does not continue to ignore my no trespassing signs and instead reaches out to me by phone. I run a farm, right? I can't have people inviting themselves in. It's dangerous. There's a lot of liability. I can't have that. So for the record, today is Tuesday. This happened on Friday. So obviously the APL doesn't think there's a huge big emergency or anything related to this report. Obviously you can see my dog from the road. So, you know, you can see that he's healthy, happy. He's got a big old shelter, lots of straw. And so, honestly, I don't think a lot will come from that. It's a little frustrating having to deal with it. But generally, it's like, whatever. You know, I'll deal with it. The thing that got me, though, is later that afternoon, the trainer that I work with called me. And she said, hey, you know, first of all, take a deep breath. However, someone's posting about your dog in one of the community Facebook groups. And sure enough, I went and looked, and there was a grainy picture of Murphy, obviously taken from the road, which was cropped in such a way as to make it look like all Murphy had was a bucket that was tipped over and his tire that he chews on. You know, they cropped out the big shelter that sits next to him. And this post basically insinuated that, well, first, can anyone help this dog? Translated roughly, is there anyone willing to go steal this dog? And then he's on an 8-foot chain, doesn't have food or water. Poor thing, can't somebody please help him? Obviously all of this is silly, is ridiculous. My first thing, I'm furious. I want to throw things. How could this person be so stupid, but also so dishonest to post a photo like this? But I talked to the trainer and she said, listen, you know, I am willing to reach out to people and talk to them and share information about this breed and about how our training's going and, you know, explain to them what's going on. But I highly recommend that you do not go into the comments, do not get into this with people on Facebook. Now, why? Well, a couple reasons, and she didn't say this, but, you know, my takes on it now that I'm looking at it in hindsight. The first thing is that controversy a lot of times will just die. If you don't keep it going, the controversy dies out. So here we are 4 or 5 days later. Nobody's commenting on this post anymore. Everybody has made themselves feel like a good person by commenting how horrible this is. And everybody has moved on with their lives. Right? There's a couple people I'm still talking to, letting them know what's going on. But generally, there's no issues at all. So if I were to jump into the comments, though, and start going back and forth with some of these people, especially if I went with my very first inclination of anger, rage, you know, I just wanted to, what, you're so dumb. Why don't you move back to the city if you don't understand the country? Why don't you show up and come talk to me instead of being a coward? You know, if I would have started saying all those things, then very quickly, one, I would have had a lot of people just assume that whatever this person said was true because I'm a mean person. And two, the conversation would have kept going. It wouldn't have stopped because people are going back and forth with me. And then finally, what would have quickly happened is that the conversation would have got beyond my control. Because when you have a forum like that, you got 30 people all commenting, you start saying nasty things or being mean, and now everybody's jumping in on you, and you just can't stay on top of it. It gets far away from you. People are saying things that are completely not true, adding to the story falsely, and you just can't possibly keep up with them all. So the first advice of stay out of the comment section was 100% the best possible thing that could have happened. All right, I'm done feeding all the birds. Got to sort these eggs out. I do have to wash them today, so got to get everything ready to go home. So instead of jumping into the fray, getting nasty, you know, wrestling with pigs and getting dirty, like they say, I took this trainer's advice and I chose to start messaging people privately. So I made up like a generic, hey, saw your comment. I just want to let you know what's actually going on. And I want to, you know, introduce myself so that you know who to go to if you got questions about it. And I kind of gave a real short, like I told you in the very beginning, about what Murphy's training entails. I told him a little bit about the breed, you know, about what makes them particularly strong and particularly hardy in the cold and whatnot. And for the most part, the responses that I got from people who I sent this message to were super duper positive. Like, everybody who responded to me, for the most part, they understood what was going on, and they realized that, okay, maybe I didn't have the full story. Maybe I was not understanding what was actually going on. And once they saw that, their attitudes changed really quick. And a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I did have a couple people that I talked to that really it wasn't going to matter what I said. They had their minds made up about what they thought was going on. And those people, I obviously still gave them my speech. I told them what was going on. And they basically responded with something along the lines of, well, why don't you put on a chain and stay out there, see how you like it? Which obviously is silly. That's a silly argument because I am not an Anatolian shepherd. I do not have the instincts of wanting to guard my flock. I also don't have a thick double coat that was designed for this. And also, there's a difference between humans and dogs. I'm sorry, there is. I love my dog. I care for him deeply. I want the best for him, but he's not a human. He's not. He never will be. Serves a very important role, and I love him very much, but he's not a human. Obviously, when you get to that, it's like, what do you want me to do? You want me to let him go? Let him get hit by a car? Let him kill the chickens? I don't think that'd be very humane. So, for the most part, everybody ended up being really, really understanding. I invited a few people who were concerned to come on down to the farm. I'm super friendly. Come say hello. I'll show you around. I'll show you what's going on with Murphy. We'll talk about it. This is what the poster really should have done from the beginning. I'm here all the time, and she claimed in her post that she drives by 4 times a day. And obviously she later claimed that she never sees me. Of course not. But I'm here every day. At some point, before it got to the point that she thought this dog was being neglected, I know that she had to have seen me. She could have just stopped and asked. So the whole fiasco was really, really frustrating, frankly. There's still a little bit of it going on. But I wanted to talk about it because the advice that I was given and the direction I ended up going to manage this conflict, if you will, ended up being almost beneficial for the business, right? Because of this conversation, people were asking, what is that out there? What's with the greenhouse? This land, I'm going to go on a little side tangent because it's kind of funny. During this same thing, somebody else put up a different post, what's up with that greenhouse on the corner in this place? And of course, they were talking about me. I'm wondering if they were just trying to figure out more information about who owns the dog, because it happened, conveniently at the same time. However, when I talked with them in the comments of this post, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe they just coincidentally posted it. Someone in those comments said hemp farm. And, I was going to ignore the post because I thought they were trying to figure out who owns the property and who owns the dog so that they could harass me. But once someone said hemp farm, I'm like, oh, no. I, unfortunately, got to get in on this. And I let everybody know, it's a veggie farm, okay? Because the last thing I need is a bunch of drug addicts thinking that this is a hemp farm, that I've got marijuana growing, and breaking into my greenhouse. So I had to head that rumor off before it got anywhere. And on this thread, a couple people were like, dang, that place is an eyesore. And like, oh, it looked better when it was a swamp. And, my first inclination is like, geez, guys, like, ow. I know that it's got some rough spots. You know, it was a swamp in May, less than a year ago, and now I've got a 2,500 square foot greenhouse and parking lot and, you know, rows of market gardens. Are there still really ugly parts of it? Heck yeah. I've got dirt that was moved that is just piled up in the back. I've got sticks and twigs and stumps and, you know, there's no grass growing. And especially right now, before the snow, there was basically no landscaping. And as we went into winter, there was no greenery. So it just looks barren. It looks nasty. And so I agree, you know, it is a little bit of an eyesore. You know, I chuckle to myself a little bit and think, if you didn't want it to be a farm, you could have bought it. It was on the market for a long time and the price was real low. That's, you know, kind of why I bought it. So like you could have bought it and left it as a swamp, but you know, you obviously didn't care about this property that much until I bought it. So, you know, leave me alone. I moved to the country to be left alone. Anyway, so that's to go off on another tangent. Now I can't even remember where I was. Where was I? Anyway, she could have stopped by and said hello to me. I'm here all the time, and I'm really super friendly. And through these conversations, I met a lot of cool people. You know, I met one dude whose son is 12 and is always looking for a little bit of money so he can upgrade his dirt bike. And so we got to talking, and his son might be coming to help me do some work. His son might be helping me pass out flyers or something for, you know, my products to the neighbors. His son is going to be helping me on the farm to earn a little bit of money. And I think that's so cool. I had other people message me asking, you know, what I had available to sell. My Facebook page gained 70 likes basically overnight. So altogether, the whole thing kind of benefited me in a way. I hate to say that because, you know, obviously on her original post, there's like 300 reactions and most of them are like angry and sad reactions. And I'm not going to be able to go through all of those people. Frankly, the people who just left a reaction and no comment, they probably forgot about it 2 minutes down their scroll. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm sure it'll come up again at some point and I'll have to explain it to someone because they'll say, hey, wait a minute, aren't you the dude that had the dog out, you know, in the cold? And I'll have to explain it again. But, you know, that's fine. So here's the part where I kind of put in my PR expertise and give you a preview of what I'm going to be doing and how I'm trying to attempt to make lemonade out of these lemons, if you will. I'm attempting to spin it into something more positive. So I made a little video of Murphy. It's about 3 minutes long, basically showing people around his area, showing that he has his heated water bucket. It doesn't freeze. It's 4 gallons, way more than he could ever drink. Staked down so he can't tip it over. I showed everyone his shelter, which is large, stuffed full of straw, super warm. You know, I made sure to address that it's not an 8-foot tether. It's 25 feet, and here's why we're using it. I addressed all the concerns and showed people around in this video. And really, I just showed that Murphy was a happy, healthy dog, right? He was jumping around, playing, and I like him as much as he likes me. And so I made this video with the intent of posting it to this Facebook group. Hey, you might have seen my dog here a couple days ago. Let me show you what's going on. That post allows me then to kind of tag the farm and say, hey, you want to follow Murphy? You want to see what's going on? You want to learn more? Follow the farm. Here's a tag to them. And oh, by the way, I'm launching a home delivery service here in Ravenna in the next couple weeks. So if you want some fresh veggies, go check that out. You see what's going on there? Like, I'm responding to this post in a way that is very helpful, that is furthering conversation in a positive way, but it also serves to, you know, build name recognition for the farm, help get the word out from a marketing perspective. Would any of that have been possible if I just went for my initial inclination and just started ranting and yelling back and cussing and swearing? Absolutely not. right? That would not have been well received if I made that kind of a name for myself with this group of people, right? So that's kind of the lesson. Deal with things privately, and publicly let it go, because it won't help to keep the conspiracy. And you know, obviously if something's true, that's a very different conversation. But when someone's just making false accusations on you, obviously they're not going to come back with proof if it's false, right? It's really just their word. And so at that point, just let the conversation die. Don't give them the fuel they need to keep it going. That's all I have to tell you. I really do appreciate you taking the time to listen to Farm Chores Podcast. I have a lot of fun making these, even if I had a lot of trouble getting this recording going and getting it done. So thank you so much. If you want to see the video that I made about Murphy, it's on my YouTube channel. It's a short little 3-minute video. You can go check that out. And obviously you can see videos and photos of Murphy on my Instagram and my TikTok. So definitely head over there. All those links are on the website, moonfarm.us. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you next time.